They asked for help. A fleet of Deathworlders answered their call. The distress signal had been broadcasting for 3 days. By the 4th, everyone knew no one was coming. Across the burning skies of the colony world Tyraxis, the last defense, towers collapsed one by one. Enemy warships filled the atmosphere like a storm of metal predators. Cities were already silent. The planetary shields had failed hours ago. On the command platform of the Tyraxian capital, Governor Selrath stared at the fading tactical map. Red icons everywhere. Their fleet was gone, their orbital stations destroyed. Their allies had answered the distress call with polite apologies and strategic excuses. No fleet could arrive in time. No one wanted to fight the Varkul Dominion. "They will land within the hour," an officer whispered. Selrath's antennae drooped with exhaustion. "Prepare evacuation transports. There are not enough." He already knew. Across the galaxy, Tyraxis would become another quiet graveyard swallowed by war. The distress beacon continued transmitting anyway, a desperate signal repeating into the darkness. "Help required, colony under attack, any response welcome." For hours. Nothing answered. Then the sensor officer froze. "Governor," she said slowly. "Yes?" "I am detecting hyperspace distortions." Selrath looked up sharply. "How many ships?" The officer swallowed. I cannot calculate." The stars above the planet rippled. One hyperspace tear opened, then another, then dozens. The sky itself seemed to fracture as enormous shapes emerged from the glowing rifts. Warships, massive, armored like moving fortresses. A stunned silence spread through the command center. "Identify them," Selrath ordered. The sensor system struggled to process the data. Finally, a symbol appeared on the screen, a simple emblem, a blue world surrounded by stars. The officer whispered the name slowly. Humanity. The sky filled with ships, hundreds, then thousands, carriers releasing swarms of fighters, battleships, unfolding rail cannons longer than city blocks, cruisers sliding into formation with predatory precision. The Varkul Dominion fleet immediately reacted. Their commanders clearly hadn't expected reinforcements. Enemy ships turned to face the Sao. Newcomers, weapons charged. The humans did not slow down. Their fleet accelerated, straight into the enemy formation. The first railgun fired. Thunder. A projectile the size of a transport shuttle tore across orbit at impossible speed. It struck a Varkul dreadnought and punched straight through its core. The battleship exploded instantly. More guns fired. Boom after boom echoed through space as kinetic rounds ripped through enemy ships like meteor strikes. Human fighters flooded forward next. Small, fast, deadly. They weaved through the battlefield with reckless aggression, launching missile swarms that detonated across the Varkul formation. The battle turned violent almost immediately. Human ships did not maintain perfect formations like other species. They moved like hunters, breaking lines, ambushing targets, ramming damaged enemies when ammunition ran low. One cruiser lost half its hull to a plasma strike. Instead of retreating, it accelerated. The burning wreck slammed directly into a Varkul carrier. Both ships vanished in a flash of nuclear fire. On the surface of Tyraxis, Selrath watched the orbital battle unfold with disbelief. "They fight like Deathworld predators," one officer whispered. Selrath nodded slowly. Humans had a reputation, a terrifying one. Their homeworld was classified as a Category 9 death world. Violent storms, predatory ecosystems, constant environmental danger. Species born on such worlds either evolved into monsters or survivors. Above the planet, the human fleet carved through the enemy armada. Railguns shattered warships. Missile storms consumed entire squadrons. Human boarding craft slammed into crippled vessels, deploying armored marines who fought their way through corridors with ruthless efficiency. The Varkul Dominion had conquered dozens of systems, but they had never fought humans before. Within 2 hours, the enemy fleet began to break. Ships attempted to retreat into hyperspace. Many didn't make it. Human interceptors hunted them down one by one. By nightfall, the sky above Taraxis was quiet again. Only wreckage remained. Burning debris, drifting through orbit like fallen stars. The human fleet settled into defensive formation around the planet. A transmission arrived at the Taraxian command platform. Selrath opened the channel. A human admiral appeared on the screen. His uniform was simple, his expression calm. "Governor Selrath," he said, "you sent a distress call." The governor bowed his head slightly. "Yes, but we believed no one would answer." The human shrugged. "Humans tend to respond when someone asks for help." Selrath hesitated. "You crossed half the galaxy for a colony you've never met." The admiral nodded. "That's what fleets are for." Behind him, the stars were filled with human warships, endless rows of armored vessels standing guard over the wounded world. Selrath asked the question quietly. "Why did you come?" The human admiral leaned back slightly. "Because we know what it's like to face extinction." He gestured toward the massive fleet behind him. "And because when Deathworlders hear a distress call," his voice hardened, "they bring enough force to make sure no one sends it twice." The transmission ended. Above Taraxis, the human fleet continued its silent patrol. And across the galaxy, a new truth spread among frightened warlords and desperate colonies alike. If you cry for help in the darkness of space, you might not like who answers, because sometimes the signal reaches a species that survived, the most dangerous world in the galaxy, and when Deathworlders answer your call, they do not arrive alone.